So poops, are you out there fighting for that promotion? Running forward, emails one after another, can't get a breath before your 15 meetings in a row? Well, better settle down, make sure you're okay, cause otherwise, according to Zulkifli Hasan, you might end up turning gay. It's all over the news, and frankly, if you hadn't heard about this already, I would actually be surprised. Search Malaysia gay. Whoa, vindicate my search history. And there you will see it. Article after article from around the world about the thoughts of one of our best and brightest. SCMP's written articles about him, NST, Asia One, Mothership, VN Express. Truly, we have Mendunia. You know, suppose if that were true, then we don't need to worry about becoming a high-income nation anymore. Because if Malaysian people work too hard, right, then later all of us turn gay, then how,
Yep, sorry Liu Jintong, we still have to make sure that we have a population.
Now, this is the way that what he said was reported, and after all the dust has settled, our Sapoop has gone out telling us, don't just read the title, even as he asks everyone to demonstrate tabayyun or verification in order to obtain accurate information and to refer to credible sources with proper, accurate, and comprehensive context. Because it turns out that what he had to say actually came from a parliamentary reply that he wrote on January 26, and you can see all of these people just casually writing sycophantic comments one after another. But anyway, so poops, I didn't want to make a casual mockery of this situation. God knows there are already hundreds of thousands of videos doing exactly the same. Today, what I want to do is I want to follow Dr. Zulkifli's advice. Let's do some hashtag tabayyun. Alright, so it turns out that where our Sapoop wrote all of this was the 26th January Parliament session. Answers for oral questions that were not answered in the day one. And it turns out that where he made his statement that is now viral was actually here, where he was responding to a question about the LGBT community in Malaysia. Turns out that just before, he'd already mentioned that there were 135 arrests over LGBT cases, and that's also in the same parliamentary document. But anyway, the man basically said, "Honored Speaker, research about the LGBT community in Malaysia is very limited and restricted, which has caused a lack of comprehensive data about the total population of this group, and the JAKIM in particular does not possess or own data or statistics about the LGBT community in Malaysia." That's the first point. And then he goes on to say, factors contributing to LGBT, amongst them, per the study that was conducted by Sulaiman et al., shows that a variety of factors influence the involvement of a person in LGBT lifestyles. Societal influence, sexual experience, work pressure, which is the whole viral thing, and other private factors influence a person to end up in this category. The study emphasizes that the combination of these elements can contribute towards the LGBT movement. From looking at the study, it can be concluded that family, social environment, and a lack of religious appreciation are primary factors that influence LGBT. Orientation and sexual behavior of a person is influenced by family, an unsupportive environment, and a level of understanding and practice of religion that is low. Wow, terima kasih, YD Senator. I'm sure that cleared everything up. Madani amalan kita. Alright, so to be totally fair, this first part here is a non-statement, and for this second point here, our Sapoop didn't say that work stress is the main reason that people end up turning gay. He said that it was one of a range of different factors, even if no other studies show that that's the case. But whoa. This is Malaysia Madani. Surely we are civilized. We decolonize knowledge. Kami bukan barua penjajah. Everybody knows that Sulaiman tu lebih pandai daripada Lee Kuan Yew, or something like that. But the point is, this Sapoop quoted Sulaiman et al. So I'm like, okay, fine. So why don't we find out who Sulaiman et al. is. So I tried to search for this random Sulaiman 2017, and it turned out that basically the only thing that really came out was this thing right here, with a very interesting title, I might add. I couldn't end up finding the article at first, but then later I went on to ChatGPT, and turns out that they actually had a link from Serambi Mecca. And alright, let's do our tabayyun, since it seems like this is basically the only study that matches. Alright, so let's look at our kajian, our research paper right here, which as it turns out is not actually a kajian. Because here it says, Model Project Citizen untuk mengatasi gaya hidup LGB dan transgender. I always thought that transgender was spelled with an S as in TRANSGENDER. But oh no, decolonized knowledge! How dare you question Serambi Mecca? Except they do use the correct spelling a little bit later on, which then leads me to think that probably these people just didn't even proofread their so-called kajian. But if you look at this entire thing right here, it looks like it is a grand total of 7 pages. So how much kajian can you actually do in all that space? And as you look through it, then you realize to yourself that
firstly, it literally cites Wikipedia, and secondly,
it's not a research study on the factors behind homosexuality. There's no data collection, there is nothing at all, and I was looking for the word stress in the entire document, since this paper is supposed to be telling you about stress or tekanan or whatever it is right there. Let's try tekanan. Nothing? Okay, fine. But what about It looks like there is only one result and it is nowhere in the paper except towards the end, where it mentions that the 5 sources of a person becoming LGBT are blah blah and blah, and it is all actually in the conclusion. There's no argument to establish any of this right here. It is basically spitballing. If you're laughing as a Malaysian at this point, I hope you realize that you're laughing. It's kind of like that dog that goes, "Oh, this is fine," while the house is burning. Cause it looks like we've done our tabayyun here in order to obtain accurate information, and we are left with the accurate information that our religious affairs minister did not refer to a credible source, did not have proper, accurate and comprehensive context, but somehow wants to go out there and advise all the people of Malaysia to do exactly that, which is something that our sepuh did not do. Bro, Zulkifli bro, if you're complaining about this, remember, you asked us to do tabayyun, and I did tabayyun, and it has shown that you have fallen short, so take the L. I know that the media is not a perfect representation of reality. I think we understand that the media can sensationalize things, take them out of context, and completely distort the meaning of what we meant to say. But I did exactly what you asked me to do. I didn't just read the title. And instead of being able to vindicate you, bro, here I am realizing that you didn't even check your sources. You don't seem to know what's actually reliable. You may or may not have found sources on ChatGPT because an intern gave this to you. I don't know. But either way, you are still flat out wrong. I'll put the link to the paper as well as to the Facebook post where I did this investigation down in the description. But anyway, based on the evidence that we can see, I guess we can say that what you said, Zulkifli, is fake, or is not even supported by the paper that you gave. It's a terrible source, and if you don't know that it's a terrible source, then I wonder how religious affairs is going to fare under your guidance, as the blind leads the blind towards a destination that it seems that none of them are actually prepared to navigate toward. But anyway, I guess stress doesn't make you gay after all. Which means also, by the way, that those of you who are male can stop sending me heart emojis and saying that you are stressed. And if ever I'm late up at night editing videos, you don't have to worry about me coming up to any of you male sapoops and saying that you are sexy, because it just doesn't work that way. Anyway, lots of hilarious parodies out there that I used to think, oh, how dare they distort thought what he was saying, but actually they're pretty funny, so go forth, go out there and enjoy. I'm not sure if Madani is going to be shameless enough to keep him as a minister at this point, but well, if you stay in that position, Dr. Z, try not to get your knowledge from third-rate studies that you have not actually verified, please. That applies to you and to every single minister out there in Malaysia, Madani, and any government that Malaysia might have in the future. But well, what do you think, Sapoops? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you're gay, you're gay. Don't say that you turned gay because of your stress. That's all I have to say about that, and bye.